Hello, Dr. Greg again with a video on the nervous system. Educational, I want to teach you about how the nervous system works, and we started with the nerve cell. And we started with what a nerve cell needs, what it is, what's inside it, all that type of stuff. One last thing we need to talk about before we move on to larger parts of the nervous system is something called an action potential or potential. So a nerve is under two states. It's either resting or it's actually doing something, firing off, making an impulse. And that's called, the resting part is called resting potential, and the active part is called action potential. And there's not much more I want to say in terms of the nitty-gritty about that, but just to understand that when a nerve cell starts to die, it potentially becomes more sensitive. So let's say, for instance, I'm just going to pick numbers so that, not the exact numbers that these things are at, but let's say, for instance, the resting potential of a nerve is a 10. Let's just say it's a 10. The action potential is a 20. Right? Two of these, right? That's what happens. So when the nerve cell is resting, it's a 10. When it's active, it's a 20, right? Now, if the nerve cell doesn't get enough of activation or oxygen or fuel in the form of glucose, it starts to have to be more, its resting potential has to be a little higher. Let's say, for instance, it's not only just 10, but it's 10 and 5 and 15. So it's easier to get to the action potential because the nerve always wants to be functioning. So if it's not getting enough of what it needs to function normally, its resting potential is a little higher, so it's easier to fire. So you'll see that sometimes when people have, like, shakiness in their arms or limbs, that kind of means on the very basic level that the nerve might be at a higher action potential, or higher resting potential than normal. Now what happens over time is that nerve that has a higher resting potential starts to fade, starts to die off because it can't keep up. So instead of it needs a 15, it's at a 15, it starts dropping down, maybe it's back to 10 again, maybe it's back to 5, and it's harder to fire. That's when things start really going bad and the nerve will die. That's all I have to do today. There's going to be another one in a couple of weeks. So understand the difference between resting potential, action potential. Have a great day. This is Dr. Greg, changing the way you look at health.